The psalmist says, I was glad when they said unto me, we will go into the house of the Lord. Welcome again to this broadcast that we are streaming in order to keep each of us abreast with the things of the readings that we have each day. It is so important that for every day we will follow God's prescription, which He said to Joshua, this book of the law shall not depart out of your mouth. You shall meditate upon it day and night. And so today we have the readings as assigned in the second book of Samuel, chapter 21, where we see about the story of Absalom and his scheming in order to take on the throne which David had. Eventually driving David out through his deceptions and his schemings. And then we go into the book of Acts in Acts chapter 21, where Paul now finds again opposition with people who have been affected by his ministry, affected because they lost their business, they lost things where they gained profit. And because of Paul's ministry, the people began to be enlightened. And so here are two stories, events that have happened that are very relevant for us today. Because for us today, it is so important to realize that we are living in a world where men and women are wanting to be on top. They always want to be the best. There is a competitive spirit. There is a spirit where people are wanting to post as many posts in Facebook and to get as many views, to have as many TikToks, to have as many memes and other social media platforms that they can use. But the gospel today is that which I believe brings an antidote to all of these human weaknesses and faults. Because the gospel is taken from Mark chapter 10. And let me just read portions of that gospel in Mark chapter 10, beginning with verse 32, where Jesus now comes in. And so the reading of the gospel begins that Jesus and his disciples were on the road going up to Jerusalem. And Jesus was walking on ahead of them, and they were amazed, and those who followed were fearful. And again he took the 12 aside and began to tell them what was going to happen to him, saying, Behold, we are going up to Jerusalem, and the Son of Man will be delivered to the chief priests and to the scribes, and they will condemn him to death and will hand him over to the Gentiles. They will mock him and spit on him and scourge him and kill him. And 3 days later, he will rise again. So what a stark contrast, this fate of Jesus compared to the events of humanity then and even now, where man wants to be always on the top. Man wants always to be the best. And Jesus here said he will suffer. And then he continues the story. James and John, the two sons of Zebedee, came up to Jesus saying, Teacher, we want you to do for us whatever we ask of you. And he said to them, What do you want me to do for you? Nice question for our reflection in that. Jesus asked, What do you want me to do for you? And here, the heart of James and John, and perhaps the heart of you and me, are revealed. Because they said, Grant that we may sit one on your right and one on your left in your glory. Jesus said to them, You do not know what you are asking. Are you able to drink the cup that I drink, or to be baptized with the baptism with which I am baptized? And they said to him, We are able. And Jesus said to them, The cup that I drink you shall drink, and you shall be baptized with the baptism with which I am baptized. But to sit on my right or on my left, this is not mine to give, but it is for those for whom it has been prepared." And hearing this, the 10 began to be indignant with James and John. And calling all of them to himself, Jesus now gives to them a lesson on true greatness. He said, "You know that those who are recognized as rulers of the Gentiles lord it over them, and their great men exercise authority over them. But it is not so among you. But it is not this way among you. But whoever wishes to become great among you shall be your servant. And whoever wishes to be first among you shall be slave of all. For even the Son of Man did not come to be served, but to serve, and to give his life a ransom for many." Here Jesus now confronts the attitude of many of us, where we are jockeying for position to be the greatest, the best, the most viewed, the most acknowledged, the most applauded, the one that has the most number of followers. He said, "This is not so among you." That simple phrase is the game changer here. It is not the way the kingdom of God operates. And Jesus gives a very, very simple statement here in the last verse, which I believe you and I can begin to take in and see how we can and we should walk. He says, "The Son of Man, of whom we are to follow, of whom we are to call Lord and Christ, did not come to be served, but to serve, and to give his life a ransom for many." The very heart of Christ and his mission is to give his life as a ransom. The word ransom here is very interesting because it is literally translated as release, to bring release for many. Our life is not for ourselves. Our life is not about being filled up with the accolades of the world. Our life is not being applauded by men. Our life is not about our accomplishments. But our life is like, as Paul says in 2 Timothy chapter 4, like a drink offering being poured for others. A ransom to bring release, which is what the word ransom is. Release for many. To bring freedom to the captives. Recovery of sight to the blind. To be able to lead those who are imprisoned into the freedom from the bondages that they have experienced. Our life, like Christ, is to be lived out for many. The summary of the law very clearly states that it is to love God with our whole heart and to love our neighbor as ourselves, which points to the fact that our life has a mission of glorifying God and also being concerned for the welfare of others. Should we continue to battle in the world system and become the greatest in their eyes? Or are we to be like the Son of Man that came to give his life for the ransom, the release of many? May we be enlightened by the Spirit of God in this that we can reflect on today. God bless you.